When I share my story, it's about more than solving the mysteries of our solar system. I represent the curious spirit of the nation, the Choctaw Nation. I am our past. I am our present. I am our future. I am all of us. When we share, we become one because our stories make us more. Stories keep our culture alive. See them and share them at togetherwe'remore.com.
People don't know what it is to be champions. Oklahoma invented it.
Welcome to Through the Keyhole, an Oklahoma football podcast. I am your host this week on the public show. I was given the reins to run this train off the tracks. I am Peyton Guthrie, usually the podcast host on the Patreon side, but doing it public this time. Usually we do that when we're missing somebody, but we've got everybody here. But after the Texas loss, we might not ever have everybody here in their heart, but everyone's here and everyone's present regardless. Let's go around the table and see what everyone's up to. Then we'll go through the whole thank you to everybody else. Matt, Brady, Allen, all three of us, all four of us here. I just want to get like a slight room temp. I mean, Matt, how's it going? Are you doing okay? What's the heart rate at right now? Did you calm down? Have you calmed down?
Oh, I'm good, man. I'm always calm. Always calm. The only time I wasn't calm was dealing with the traffic in and out of the Cotton Bowl. That was the only time I was not calm. Other than that, zen. Whatever my resting heart rate is, which I'm sure is not peak male performance, but it's not the worst. It could be either. So whatever that is, that's what my heart rate is right now.
Did you get the Fletcher? Did you get the wax cup?
Oh, of course. Beer? Yeah, of course. We did. That's the only thing I needed.
What it needed to be at.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Alan, if I jumped on, it sounds like you're kind of self-induced of getting beat up a little bit, but making sure of long-term health. We want to make sure we're not deniers.
I got the COVID and flu vaccines yesterday, so I'm still kind of in a bit of a fog. But no, I'm doing.
You know who else got those recently?
The president.
The president of the United States of America.
Indeed. Yeah. Speaking of the president, I was actually in Washington, D.C. on Sunday. Everything was great, man. I went to see Freddie Gibbs on Sunday night over in Northeast. And I don't know. I kept reading and seeing stuff on TV like, oh, this is a hellhole. Like, no, it was great, man. Everybody was loving it. Good times.
Yeah, I was at the Paca House in Annapolis for a wedding. Which is like right across the street from Naval Academy.
Yes, yeah.
Lots of people, lots of Navy people just walking around, nothing to do. But it was pretty funny. Homecoming, and also if you're a big guy in this, second week of October is their sailboat show. So if you're a part of that tax bracket, second week of October, Annapolis, go buy yourself a sailboat. Brady, our fearless leader, the emotional heartbeat of the podcast. Brady, how you holding it, man?
What hat should I wear? This one or this one?
Oh.
Should I wear an OU hat or a Miami Dolphins hat? Which one would make me happier?
Yeah, we don't have the alt text on here. Yeah, Brady had the is that the old school Miami Dolphins logo?
Yeah, this is your Dan Marino era.
That's a good one. That's a good. Well, I don't know if that's good. Well, it's whatever. Yeah.
Just at least they were competitive. No, doing fine. When you lose to Texas, it's never a easy pill to swallow. It sucks as a fan, but you move forward, and I think we can all hope that OU has moved forward. I was at post practice yesterday for Sooners on SI, and the players said all the right things. So they've got a good opportunity to bounce back in terms of getting us all back on the same track of, if they beat South Carolina, if they beat Ole Miss, they're right back in it. And, it's just this endless cycle of suffering we all willingly put ourselves through.
You said you're there post-practice. I'm looking up very, very quickly to see if I can vamp for just a quick second. It looks like the temperature was in the 80s yesterday, so they must have gone outside, right? Practiced outside?
They were inside. It was raining. Nobody asked about the press at the press conference today, though. I guess no one really seemed to care. If they could have practiced on the moon, no one would have cared. When you lose to Texas like that, do something about it.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw the UCLA practice field. Unirrigated, it seems, and they cannot practice on it currently because there's just a bunch of water all over it. But that's how they do football out there in California.
Is it because they're making too many almond milks? Is that why?
Yeah, well, that's leading to a drought potentially. Rumored on that side of it.
Got to open up the water.
It's got to open it up, man. It's all over. It's all there. Anyway, let's get into it. We understand our listener base. Thank you so much for the Choctaw Nation, our title sponsor. Go check them out on togetherormore.com. We are currently, I say weeks, I work there. We are currently running a wonderful story about James Winchester, former long snapper, former player of the Oklahoma Sooners, current player of the dreaded Kansas City Chiefs. I myself, a Denver Broncos fan. But cheer for him. You know what? When they kick a field goal and they get a punt and he snaps it, I'm like, James Winchester, there we go. We take those. When Pat Mahomes messes up, I'm just really, really happy on that side of it. So thank you guys so much. Go check that out. It's really appreciative of us. We like getting those stories out. And again, the idea behind that campaign is to say, hey, Choctaw people are doing cool Choctaw stuff. It's helping out communities far and wide. We just want to make sure that people know who we are.
Peyton, I want to ask you. I just wanted to ask you an unprompted question. So if you don't know this, I'm sorry for putting you on the spot. How many Choctaw players in the NFL have there been? Do you know? Or is Winchester the only one?
Winchester is the only one that we are aware of at the moment. There was one that's on the practice squad, I believe. He's the defensive tackle practice squad of the New York Giants, I believe. He didn't make the main roster. Hope he made the practice roster. Once he didn't make the main roster, he fell off my radar on that side of it. There are some more in Major League Baseball. There's a couple in some other sports like that. A lot of cross country runners as well.
Okay, well, that's cool. That's cool for Winchester.
Yeah, very, very cool on that side of it. The most famous one, Johnny Bench. Don't know if you've ever heard of him. Proud Choctaw tribal member. Go check that out. And then one of the Golden Girls. I cannot remember her name. The slutty one.
Yeah, great champion.
Yep. She had all the values of the Choctaw Nation, faith, family, culture. But anyway, go check out togetherormore.com. We got tons of stories on there. Every single month we put a new story about a new Choctaw tribe member and the cool and great things they're doing. And then obviously, none of you can see my hat, I'm wearing the cool corduroy hat from Home Field Apparel with the 1960s font, I think, on here, script that they said they found in some weird old warehouse. Very cool. I think it was like $30. Go check it out. Go buy it. Go check them out. They help us out. We help them out. And, I was talking to them the other day. I was like, hey, what's some other stuff we could be doing? Because again, I'm feeling guilty because they're paying us money. And I'm like, is there anything else we should be doing? And they just replied back, no, just keep making your podcast and keep hoping OU wins. And then obviously OU fucking lost. But we're doing good on that. Thank you guys, Home Field Apparel. If you need anything from that, make sure you reach out to us or just, go buy something in the comments, say Keyhole sent you or something like that. That'd be appreciative. Obviously, now we got our local stuff. I'm getting through it, guys. I'm getting through it. The Spirit Shop, they deliver. Go buy some alcohol, which, based off of everything that's been going on this week, you may need it. I don't know if you saw the Big 12 Twitter account just stomp all over Brent Venables, but we may need to kind of drink our sorrows away just a little bit. Go check them out. They're on the Spirit Shop in Norman. And if you're like me and you just really want to lock in a complete beast mode lock in, go to Kaizen Performance. They'll get you right. They'll get you ready. Like I started a new diet. I started a new cut. The Texas game went so poorly in my mind. I opened up my app. I was like, I'm losing 10 pounds. I was like, let's get this road going. And if you're like that, like me, go check it out on Kaizen Performance. And remember, give us a like, give us a rate, give us a review, follow us on all the channels that you can, and hit us up over on patreon.com/throughthekeyhole. Literally the best website the world has ever seen. I'll be doing a video review of the 3, potentially almost 4 interceptions John Mateer threw in the Texas game. And then also I have a South Carolina preview coming out Friday night. I apologize, it's going to be late, but that's the only time the South Carolina blogger could make time for. So Friday night, look forward to seeing the opponent preview of South Carolina. That gets us all through the house cleaning part of the show. So if you've been hitting the 15-second skips, you can stop now. You're here. You're in the main part of the show. Let's do the last words of this Texas game. Let's put it to bed. I know I was not able to make the no cap recap. Alan, you've had a chance to think about it. You and I have been kind of going back and forth in our show Discord, looking at the game, like sharing some screenshots and stuff. What were you thinking about? What's your mindset now after a few days removed from the 23-6 ass whipping the Sooners suffered from the Texas Longhorns?
I mean, I've said it a bunch, but you're -3 in turnover margin. You give up a punt return for a touchdown, you're going to lose. Like that's just unassailable. So I mean, from that side of it, the rest of it's kind of all academic to me. I thought that Carter Bryant, when I talked with him before the season, I remember him saying, like, specifically, he's like, listen, John Mateer is going to have a game this year where he just throws OU out of it. Like that he plays hero ball, and that's what's going to happen. It sucks that this was that game, but that's what it is. But again, this is a case to me though too of the reasons why Mateer made those mistakes against Texas are the reasons why he makes other big plays, right? And so you kind of just, it's a matter of taking the good with the bad in the long run with him. And, I mean, there's been a lot more good on the whole. It's just Saturday, he was bad. There's no other way around it.
Yeah, I wasn't able to be on the No Cap recap. I was, and you can listen to that on patreon.com/through the keyhole. Didn't mention that, but I was on the way back from a wedding, literally a wedding planned during Texas, Oklahoma Red River Shootout week. Now, these are East Coast people. Okay. They're not near college football. I have no idea. They just recently, like 2 years ago, got really into the Commanders. So this is his sister-in-law on that side of it. But, I was able to watch it, kind of off to the side and everything. Kind of gave some recap stuff. And yeah, I mean, you watch Oklahoma just hang around. And the only thing I can think of was I've seen this show before, right? It's like you get they're leading, but they can't quite punch it in. They can't quite land the punch. And that's what happened against Michigan. That's what happened against Auburn, where it's like you just, until the very, very end, like in the fourth quarter of those games, they're able to separate. But like they could not knock those teams out. And Texas has enough talent, right? Texas is, I believe, the most talented roster Oklahoma plays this year, according to the BCR or something like that. Maybe LSU's up there too. And eventually somebody like that is going to make a play, right? Like not all the running backs, like OU running backs, where it's like two opposite magnets into a defensive tackle. Like eventually somebody's going to like step to the side and make a move. And Oklahoma just couldn't sustain perfection. Now, that said, now that we've seen everything afterwards, they give up 16 points, I think, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, it would be 16. There was
the stop rate was like 70%. I mean, it's like the defense performed extremely well. The blame falls on, and it's even hard to say this, the blame falls on the guy who fought back from surgery to try to give Oklahoma the best chance to win. And it's kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't for a John Mateer side of it. And I'll look at more of that over on the film review later this week about those interceptions and potentially where that ball could have gone. But that I'm not back there getting chased around like he was on that side of it. But Brady, I mean, do you have anything? Has anything clarified for you? Have the borrow a phrase from a Princess Mononoke? Are you now able to see with eyes unclouded by hate?
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, I need to apologize to Carson Kent because being at the game, I just in the moment not being able to watch it and replay it because I mean, like I think we had mentioned on No Cap, none of us had been able to go back and rewatch the game with multiple angles. But on the John Mateer run where he got it down to the 15, I thought Carson Kent was on the opposite side of the line of scrimmage, but his hold was directly responsible for probably getting Mateer free on that play. Because my whole thing was you held on the opposite side of the line of scrimmage. It had no bearing on the play. Why'd you do that? So apologies to you. At the same time, don't fucking hold, please. Please stop holding. Please be better. Please move the guy forward. I know Texas is good. So are you guys. You guys are playing at OU. Please be better. And that is too much to ask, even though their offensive line, which was previously awful, performed really well and did their job. And it's me asking too much for OU to be able to do the same. But I think overall, I feel better about Ben Arbuckle's plan because you guys kind of outlined in some screenshots with all 22s in our Discord chat of plays that were schemed open. The second interception, I think both Burks and Mateer screwed up essentially at the exact same time. There was space for Burks to kind of keep going the same direction he was initially going. Mateer thought he was going to go that direction, then Burks broke because Mateer took a little too long to throw the ball. Like there was a moment, and I think the broadcast replay kind of freeze frames right at the moment where Mateer should throw it, and right where he probably would have thrown it if this was Michigan or this was Auburn, basically if he was just healthy. And not necessarily healthy, but just if he was more seasoned in terms of his timing and precision. And all that to say, I'm expecting, just like I said on the no cap, I'm expecting John Mateer to be better on Saturday against South Carolina because he's going to have a week of precision and timing and reps and all those things that he wasn't afforded going into the Texas game. I don't mean to hijack this. We don't need to spend too much time on it, but I'll ask you guys this because I was thinking about it in terms of Brent Venables as the head coach, because I'm going to assume that they knew essentially when he had to go get surgery that week, going into the bye week, they knew, okay, we're going to find out if he's going to be available to play the week of insert here. And if they found that out that, okay, we're going to be able to find out if he's going to be able to play like the week of the Texas game, maybe by midweek or late. And as it would play out, they found he was medically cleared. John Mateer was on Thursday going into the OU Texas game. So my question to you guys is, do you think a better head coach or a more experienced head coach or a more proven head coach, because the jury's still out with Brent, just to be fair, do you think a more proven head coach gets that information and says, that's too close to the game, we're just going to have to ride with Michael Hawkins and just be done with it? Like when the announcement was made that he was getting surgery, he's going to be out for the next 2 games. Unfortunately, we ride with Michael Hawkins. Therefore, there's no questions about status. There's no practicing Michael Hawkins with the ones, John Mateer getting quote unquote mental reps, and then potentially being rusty on the field. I've just been thinking about that, and I can't not assume that, a better or more proven head coach says, we're just gonna have to ride with the backup, even though we know he gives us a worse chance to win.
Are you ready for the new era of sports in Oklahoma? Want to be ready for some real Southern football? Kaizen Performance in Norman, Oklahoma is your spot for physical and mental growth. By empowering a lifestyle of constant, continuous improvement, Kaizen Performance's gym experience lends itself from the experienced training fanatics to those who want to make a positive change in their lives and everyone in between. Come see their new location at 158 Armstrong Court in Norman, Oklahoma. With experienced trainers who understand that every client has individual desires and needs, in-person and online customized training programs and nutrition plans, Kaizen Performance has everything to offer for you to meet your goals. Again, their new location is 158 Armstrong Court, Norman, Oklahoma, 73071. Seriously, Brady works out there, and so does Peyton when he comes to home games. Come work out with us and get ready for the week-to-week grind of real Southern football. Kaizen Performance, Norman's own local gym where your goals are a workout away.
Man, I don't know if I really want to relitigate 75% John Mateer.
I don't know, man.
No,
I feel vindicated, man. I feel vindicated. Honestly, man.
What for?
And honestly, so do I. I didn't want to jump back in there and be like, because I think I'm going to speak for Alan and myself. I think we both kind of said it didn't really matter who was going to be the quarterback. If it's 75% John Mateer, if it was 100% Michael Hawkins, I think that game was going to play out similarly. Now, I don't think potentially that game, let's say this, the game's closer with Michael Hawkins playing the game. Because Michael Hawkins doesn't throw 3 interceptions, right? Maybe he just throws 1, right? The game is just closer, but does he give Oklahoma the full chance to win? Like that would be the difference there. And what was happening, at least from my short view of this, is that Texas was able to really get pressure or, well, really stop the run with 3 or down linemen a lot of the time. And that really just changed the equation because they were able to drop 8, put people in those seams, which is like John Mateer's the number one go-to is middle of the field and seams. Like with shorter quarterbacks, weirdly enough, shorter quarterbacks usually throw to the outside. They don't like throwing into the middle of the field because you got to see over so many different people, but he just loves doing it. So there's something there. Texas was able to flood all of those zones, and Oklahoma wasn't able to make them pay for that. Now, if you've seen people break down on this, a former host of this podcast, we're breaking stuff down where all the areas where John Mateer doesn't like to throw, guess who was open? A wide receiver. But if he's never going to throw there, then why bother, rolling coverage that way? So that's where John Mateer needs to grow, is finding out that there isn't a place on the field that he's like, well, I just won't throw that direction. Right? That just has to happen for him kind of moving forward. But I guess the question is a better head coach. If I were coaching, if I were a better head coach, I probably look at that game and think to myself, oh, man. I mean, if he's cleared to go, he's cleared to go. It's hard to bench a competitor on that side of it. But I do understand that Brent may be thinking, you have to win this game. You have to win the next game. Like, I don't know if Brent is truly thinking about a 12-game season if he's rolling out John Mateer fresh off of like being cleared to go on Thursday for one day of practice and then let's go, right? And what would Friday be, like a walkthrough practice? I mean, surely they're not popping good on Friday right for a game.
I mean, let's also, like, there are other dudes on this team besides John Mateer who are hurt and who are out there playing. And like, what do you tell those guys? Like, the quarterback is good to go. Like, he wants to play. If the team believes that he gives you your best shot to win, why is he more important? Why is keeping him healthy necessarily more important than any of the offensive linemen?
Well,
like, why? You see what I'm saying? Like,
maybe I wasn't clear, and I mean I wasn't, because my argument isn't so that Michael Hawkins could play, i.e., that gives OU a better chance. No, 100% Michael Hawkins ended up being just as good and bad as 75, 80% John Mateer, as it turned out. The thing with John Mateer is he has a special ability about him. So there could you have a better chance, even though they're kind of equal in terms of Mateer not practicing as much. But Mateer has a special ability about him that he can make plays after shitting the bed for 2 or 3 quarters. And he almost did, if not for that hold. So he almost did. But my argument is just mainly for Brent Venables as the leader of the program, because I'm not arguing because Michael Hawkins gives OU a better chance to win the game. My argument is he should have just identified that he's not going to have enough time to go from doing nothing for a week and a half to doing light reps in shorts to throwing tennis balls, whatever he was able to do starting the Monday of practice. That's not enough for the Cotton Bowl. If he had been in the program for a year and he knew what the atmosphere was like, maybe, but he's from Washington State. Like, that's not enough time. And, to your point, Alan, what's so special about him? I mean, that was the same shit that he was talking about with Jaden Ott, where it's like, if your head's not in practice, if your head's not in the game, you're not going to play. And to be consistent as the leader, he probably should have had that same mentality. Now, me personally as a fan, going back to what I just said a few minutes ago, I was more preoccupied with wanting John Mateer to play because I want to win the game. And Mateer, even being rusty, gave OU a better chance to win the game than Michael Hawkins. But I think in terms of being the head coach and being the leader of the team, I think Brent should have just identified early on in the entire injury process that he's not going to have enough time, and we're just going to try and roll with Michael Hawkins. And if we lose, so fucking be it. But at least on the other end of that, Mateer will be healthy and reps and ready to go, and then we can put our best foot forward.
Yeah, no, and I think that that's a very fair. I mean, in all honesty, when I heard when the news broke that he would be, that he was having that surgery, I thought there was no way that he would be ready to go, And so, like, to me, I was thinking along the lines of what you're saying right now, like Brady, like, okay, get Hawkins ready, hope for the best that he'll be back. I mean, the pushing the timeline up. I mean, it's to me, it's just kind of six one way, half dozen the other, really. Like, but pushing the timeline up, made it. I mean, when he was available, I guess I think you just kind of have to roll with that. It would have been maybe you're right that it would have been better to say 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, like, I don't care if he's cleared, like, we're getting ready and proceeding this way. I mean, I could definitely get on board with that. And that in honesty, like when I was saying, like 100% Hawkins is to me just as good as 75% John Mateer.
Yeah.
Like, that was my point, from the very start.
And there's also a very thing there where, if I want to be a big time Oklahoma hater, right? I mean, they're practicing indoors. He's holding his hand in his pocket. They're doing X, Y, Z. I mean, it's like you're doing all the stuff, and it now looking back on it, right? Because it's gamesmanship. But now looking back on it, it's like, man, that feels like they're just really desperate. It's just a really desperate head coach who's like, I got to win this game. They're everything else. Because that's what I'm saying. It feels like it's the ant versus the grasshopper mentality. That was very ant, right? That was very like, I need it right now. There wasn't a thought of, well, if we roll him out and what if he gets banged up? And now we're going 5-7, right? Instead of just saying, we're going to take this lump. Because now, Callan, you've mentioned it, like, quite often. Like last year, Brent gets extended to say, hey, we're going to be bad. Go ahead and extend it. Let's go take our hits, but we're thinking about this multiple years down the line. And within the microcosm of a season, Texas is special, right? Like, let's say this were the Alabama game. You probably said them. What's the Texas game? And the Texas game means a little bit different to boosters and stuff like that, to everyone for the program. And then you allow Sark to be able to get off his little shot saying, I'm happy he played. Now they don't have an excuse, right? I mean, I'm summarizing his words. Just saying he's a great player, and I'm very happy he played because now we get the point to say, hey, we were able to hold him out. They had all their guys, on that side of it. So it's just a very interesting thing. It comes across as desperate in hindsight. It comes across as desperate and maybe not someone who's looking at the full scope of 12 games. Unless, again, I'm not looking at the health report. Maybe the doctor on Thursday is like, zero risk of further injury, other than like if his head, a helmet crushes into it.
That's the whole nuance with this. Like, my thing with Brent, be the leader, have the foresight to understand that that's not going to be enough time. But you play him, he's healthy enough. That's always my rule. If you get hurt in the game and it visibly alters how you play and the team plays, then yeah, you can make some like reality excuses. If you start the game after previously being hurt, then you're suddenly healthy. Like, I don't want to hear any excuses. But you can't move forward with players with the fear that they might get hurt again, unless like doctors are stressing that he needs an extra week of rest. Mm-hmm. And then of course you apply that knowledge in game, but you can't just be afraid of injury.
Yeah. And I mean, like, if he goes out there and balls out and OU wins, or if he plays terrible and OU still wins, I mean, he's a legend. Like, I mean,
they almost did.
And that's and like your point, Brady, about him, there in the fourth quarter and that long run that got called back. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that, you do that one time and you are never buying a drink in the state of Oklahoma ever again. You know what I mean? Like, it's like they went all in trying to win the game. And in that respect, I have a hard time, like, really taking much issue with it,
Yeah. I think I texted you guys in the Discord chat because until they returned that punt, I completely read this game wrong. I thought OU was still going to win. And I think I texted you guys in the chat, like 0-2 Nate Hibble against Texas, because I think he threw 4 interceptions that day.
And so I think 5.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Nate threw 4 picks, I think, in the first half, and one of them was a pick 6. It was like a fade that he threw, and then some like Texas defender caught it on the boundary and just ran untouched. And I thought that was kind of going to be the story that we were going to talk about, that John Mateer played awful, but he was hurt. Yay, we still win. But it's just frustrating to go back at points in that game and find moments like the Arch Manning throw in their own end zone of just like, God dang it, if they're a split second quicker and get home or force a bad throw, force a throwaway, Texas is punting from their own end zone and you're down a score. It's just very frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, and that's Texas. I mean, that's the Texas game. I mean, it gets broken down.
They're better.
Well, I mean, it just gets broken down to I mean, as of right now, sure, right. They've got scoreboard through the last 4 years on that side of it. I mean, I'm not, whatever. But it's how that game is played, especially recently, where it comes down to who can make the one or two plays that changes, right? I mean, we've seen Oklahoma come in there steamrolling and get knocked around. We've seen Texas come in there steamrolling and get knocked around. And it's weird. It's just a weird game because it's rivalry and everyone's kind of a little keyed up, right? And it just happens. Oklahoma did not play their best game. They put their best chance to do it, and their best chance wasn't good enough due to, the quote, the unnameable. If you just remove 2 or 3 plays, Oklahoma's winning that game. Well, you can't, and when we didn't, but that's the hard part too, is that as a fan now, you have to sit there and take that loss. And then you, especially if you're more tapped into the analytics and people posting numbers and stuff like that, it's like, yeah, it was basically a 50-50 or a 51-49 game, even though it doesn't look that way because of how the scoreboard ended up on that side. Because Texas had one good drive, and because Oklahoma missed 3 tackles on 3rd and long back to back to back.
It honestly reminded me like of the inverse of the game that OU and Texas played in 2018, where neither team could really stop each other, but I think Kyler Murray turned it over twice.
Yeah.
And so then, OU's playing from behind the whole way, and they caught up, but then, the run that Kyler Murray made in that game was, the one that John Mateer tried to make and got called back. And again, before anybody hops on this, I'm not saying that John Mateer is Kyler Murray. So I'm just saying the way it played out was similar in an inverse way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And that game obviously famously came down to who had ball last. And it wasn't Oklahoma. But let's move on now. We've buried the old wounds. We're moving on. How does Oklahoma rebound on this side of it? I've seen a lot of talk about running back rotations and offensive line and how everyone needs to be fired, X, Y, Z. How do we think Oklahoma moves forward? Because guess what? They got another game to play this coming weekend against a talented team in South Carolina. Matt, this is your job to talk about this stuff and your side job to talk about this stuff. Have you guys talked about what's next, how to fix it? Is there anything to fix?
Oh, man. If I had the answers to that, no offense to you guys, I don't think I'd be doing this. I don't think I'd be doing this podcast. I'd be doing something else. I'd be getting bought out like James Franklin is right now. That would be my ultimate goal. But yeah, I think for me, looking ahead, this South Carolina game has always been, I think I said this on No Cap too. This South Carolina game has always been like the worst timed game for me. Like I've had this circled in red Sharpie this entire game. And this is, back when I thought that South Carolina was going to be really good. And it almost feels like even worse now that they've kind of started off pretty bad. But 11:45 Central Time. So like a little bit before 1 o'clock on the East Coast. And you're licking your wounds. South Carolina is desperate for a win, kind of like Texas was desperate for a win in the Cotton Bowl. Like that is just, I don't know. It's not where you want to be at all. And plus, Lenore Sellers, he can do everything and more that Arch Manning did to kind of hurt OU in that sense, right? Probably even more than what Arch Manning did. So we'll see, man. I just. Also, was nice to see. I think Brent said today, was asked about Derek Simmons and his availability. said that it's more of a day-to-day thing than a long-term injury. So we'll see, because, I mean, you're going to need however many hands on deck to try to block Dylan Stewart on Saturday. So, I mean, he is capable of single-handedly wrecking a football game. So I have always kind of had my eye on this South Carolina game, and man, it is not coming at a good time for the Sooners. But as far as like fixing everything, like I don't know what you do in the run game. I start off by not playing Jay Knott anymore. Like I mean, I don't know if I said this on No Cap too, but I don't know if there's a way that you could buy out someone of their NIL contract, but maybe start looking into that, to be honest with you. But man, yeah, I don't know how you fix the run game. I really don't. That's where, I mean, you're putting your stock into Arbuckle, Bill Beatonbow, DeMarco Murray, I guess Joe John with his tight ends, I guess, to try to figure that out. And I've got no confidence that can happen. So fuck it. Let's just go Texas Tech North and be Texas Tech North for the Mike Leach days. And like 5-yard slants, outs, like everything your way down the field, and maybe hit a couple deep. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just the offense is in like the inverse of last year. Like, I mean, it's very, very strange.
I was going to say, actually, Texas Tech South is probably what Oklahoma would rather be right now on that side of it. No, I mean, all those are good points. Like, you have to kind of figure out. I mean, these coaches have to figure something out, like within the realm of what they can figure out, right? That, you know, it's not, Kanek is just a better blocker, right? I mean, what can be done moving forward to allow the team to have a chance to succeed? I mean, Alan, maybe not what would you do if you're the coach or all that type of stuff, but I mean, how does Oklahoma rebound to this? Do you think they rebound to this? I mean, or do you think Brent's words or less of a, hey, I don't know why even Brent said what he said about the Big 12. Do you think he's level setting with the fan base of saying, hey, guys, we're not just going to take this loss and then rattle off 6? Or is there more of a, he's trying to get into the, I don't know, whatever. How does Oklahoma move forward?
Well, I'll save the Big 12 stuff for later, whatever.
Yeah.
OU moves forward by not playing badly. Like, I mean, like,
true.
Like, look.
What,
like, my point here being, like, we know we're 6 games into the season, right? We know what OU is. We know what this team is, and in fact, it's actually pretty good. Like, I know losing to your biggest rival really stings, right? But you know, there's one way to look at that. Like, that one meant a lot, right? Versus the whole. I guess my point being, like. Look, OU just lost its big rival. That stings, right? But there's still 6 games left that are very winnable. I mean, OU's going to the point spread in all these games the rest of the way. One of the things that Brent was kind of, I think, pointing to with that Big 12 comment is like OU's going to be within 3 to 7 points of everybody else left on the schedule. Like, these are all winnable games. So like, you just get better at being who you are. And, you know, I mean, you accept, like, you got burned one day by that, but there's still like an upside to it. You know, you're not going to change who you are as a team. You just got to work around it.
And I mean, Alan's right. I mean, it all just kind of starts with this week and just being better. And like I've already said, I expect Mateer to be better. And if he's better than the offense, unfortunately, it's just going to be better because, and I say unfortunately, because that's the only hope that they have. Like, the offensive line is not suddenly going to get better at run blocking. The receivers are what they are, which is a good receiver group, but there's nobody that's really capable of making guys miss in space. You know, we've got fast guys. We've got guys that can make contested catches. But I mean, there was 1 or 2 opportunities for Deion Burks to make a guy miss in the open field against Texas, and he can't do it. Satani is a burner, and he's a good receiver, but it is what it is. Like, this offense is only as good as Mateer is going to be that day. And I mean, I predicted 9-3. So, I mean, the season's not over. I mean, I look at it in just 2 different perspectives at the same time, I guess. This season and then program wide. this season, like, yeah, they're kind of on par with where I expected them to be. I always thought South Carolina was going to tell us where this season's going to go. Can you bounce back from a disappointing loss, or can you maintain after an emotional win in the Cotton Bowl? Because I expect them to be 5-0 going into that game. So this Saturday will answer that question. And if they win, then you feel pretty good. And with the Mateer thing, like, yeah, like he's good for 1 to 2 games of just like, oh man, throw that film in the trash and burn it. But I mean, it's nice to know that with how rusty he was and how poorly he played, there were still chances. At the same time, I don't particularly think Texas is a good team. I don't think that they're going to go to the SEC title game, and that's not sour grapes. Their offensive line is bad. So they're going to need Arch Manning and that offense to do much more if they're going to beat, Vanderbilt or Texas A&M, Arkansas, Mississippi State on the road. They're going to need Arch Manning to do much more than just slide slightly to the right and then throw to a guy running a crossing pattern, mirroring him, because other teams are going to be able to score much, much better, much more efficiently than OU's offense was able to put together against them. But I don't know. It's just frustrating because the whole, even though I try to look at it in 2 different ways, Peyton, they can accomplish some goals this year, but the program wide thing is it's hard to ignore because, your head coach has a Texas problem, and that usually doesn't bode well, for your career.
Yeah. I mean, to me, how you rebound is that you just go about your business. I mean, I had Oklahoma going 5-0, then finishing 8-4. So that means you had to get 4 losses somewhere. Now the losses may change. I had Oklahoma losing to Texas, South Carolina, Alabama, and LSU. The LSU game looks a lot different now. The Alabama game, I could talk my way into it because they're not so great at defending on the edges, X, Y, Z. But I could still see 4 losses. I could see 3 losses, right? It's still all there at that point in time. The issue is Oklahoma fans, myself included. I'm not scolding anybody. Big alert there. Not scolding anybody. Oklahoma starts 5-0, and John Mateer's the week 4 Heisman favorite. And it kind of changed the mental calculus for a lot of people, thinking, oh, this is different. And I think that was such a big emotional and reactional swing from 2024, where everything was so bad, right? To where it was like, this is it. This is like what 2000 was, wasn't it? Everything just works out. And it's not, and it wasn't going to be, because this team had some major flaws. This team was not successful on offense, not efficient offense, and not explosive on offense. The entire offense was just do enough for John Mateer to do something in the 4th quarter. And this game, they needed a little bit more than that, right? They needed him not to have his worst game he's ever had, turning the ball over in Oklahoma. But they also just needed to have a little bit more efficiency, and that falls onto a lot of things, to where the offensive line is still a year away. I know we're sitting there saying it's always a year away, Peyton, but like this time I actually mean that. The offensive line now is where the defensive line was last year. They've got talent, but they're all kids, so on and so forth. It's going to grow, and it's going to be there. Just hold the line. Like, don't completely freak out yet. And you just move forward from that side. You buckle down, you go. Matt, right? I had South Carolina as a loss. Now I'm looking at it more and more, and I keep thinking South Carolina actually, I believe, is a worse rushing offense than Oklahoma is. They give up way more sacks than Oklahoma does. I mean, it's like, oh, here's a team let me just say this. Here's a team that's kind of prime for OU to maybe crack their neck. I'm not for sure. I'm not going to say Oklahoma's going to clear their chest and kind of get everything out of the system here. But it does potentially look like it could be that style of game. Now, Oklahoma has to go on the road after an emotional loss. It may not be out there. But if John Mateer is who we think he is on that side of it, if we're going to do like the sports writer, sports columnist thing, then Oklahoma shows up this Saturday and they take care of business. And it's like John Mateer, the leader, is born type of a thing, right?
Yeah. And like part of getting better too is Mateer taking what's on tape against Texas and learning from it. Like, why are you looking here when you're not looking here? There's, those 3 interceptions. I mean, at least 2 of them. I mean, like, he had multiple other places he could have gone with the ball, and he picked like the worst one. Like, I mean, this is very similar. It reminds me a lot of actually Baker Mayfield started off the 2016 season. And again, John Mateers and Baker Mayfield, and he was trying to hero ball it, and he had guys around him like Joe Mixon and D.D. Westbrook and Samaje Perine, and he didn't have to do that. And the impetus is a little different here, but Mateer actually has a defense like on the other side of the field. He doesn't. Doesn't have to be, score every play. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be that. He can learn and get better and manage games better.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what we're going to see if what happens here. Like, it's what happens when you see somebody who's like, okay, you if you're results oriented or process oriented, the results for Oklahoma for the first 6 weeks were good. They're 5-0. The process was not that great, and it was eventually going to hit a snag. And we've seen that. Now that they have the chance now to address that process. The sad part, or maybe the really unfortunate part, I feel like we're going through like therapy talk. I apologize, listeners. Is that they had a bye week and a Kent State week, and which really could have been about addressing the processes, and but you missed your quarterback's down, and now that's basically just 2 wasted weeks when it comes to the full development of a football team throughout the season. And again, I always man saying teams very rarely improve systematically during the course of a season, unless John Mateer just starts like taking what the defense is giving him. Right? There's multiple times where Kanik, your leading wide receiver until this past week, it's just wide open, just kind of sitting around, and he just never looks at him. Right? And it's stuff like that where you're like, okay, if you hit the flat, you hit the dig, you hit the comeback route, we're all there. We're keeping the chains moving. Let's go. It doesn't necessarily have to be knockout blow after knockout blow, right? I mean, you don't have to do that. Oklahoma's not built that way. Oklahoma's not. I would honestly say, if I'm John Mateer, I'd say we'd probably be a more explosive offense if you just took what was there, because eventually these other things will get open because of it on that side. But that's how it's going to open up. Now let's walk into something where Brent Venables, as he is wont to do when he gets a microphone in front of him, he finds the rake in the room and just stomps on it as hard as he can. Brent Venables, and to me, this is not even like a rake thing. He just stated fact. Now, I've seen some sports writers, Andy Staples and stuff like that, say, yeah, Bob Stoops had said that. Yeah, we'd all shut up. But Brent's not Bob. He didn't win those. He wasn't the head coach during those times. Brent Venables had mentioned to Oklahoma fans, hey, this isn't like the old Big 12 days where we'd take a loss and then just run through the Big 12 and win 11 games. Basically saying now the schedule starts, to be honest with you. The real schedule now starts. Oklahoma's going to have to play these games, traveling to extremely tough and extremely talented SEC teams, and then the teams who come visit Oklahoma are just as talented and just as strong as Oklahoma is, by and large on that side of it. The Big 12 Twitter account, if you haven't seen it, I don't know how you haven't. Well, if you haven't seen it, that means you're not on X, you're not on Twitter, and you're a better man.
Yeah, good for you.
To be honest with you, yeah. I mean, I don't know why I keep supporting the system at this point in time, but the Big 12 Twitter account basically outlined Brent Venables going out from a wrestling term, going out on his back for the Big 12, losing every game basically on the way out of the conference, which has caused a nice little media storm on that side. Brady, this is something that I think it's a little bit more in your court on that side of it. Brent Venables has turned me into Lady Macbeth.
Ooh.
Brent Venables has put a stain on this program in which which will not come out. The way he lost going out, losing the last Bedlam, XYZ across all these things.
Oh, yeah.
Not able to get it done. The damn spot won't come out, or whatever the line is, right? And then she dies because she has she protests too much. What do you think about this from like a program, historical, myth building, legend side of it? When you tell the story of Oklahoma.
Yeah. Just be quiet. Look, we're disappointed. We're fans. We talk about them on podcasts. We write about them, on our websites. They're more disappointed than we are. Brent Venables is more disappointed than we are because this is his job. He has to live it. And he knows where he's at, and he knows the program, and he understands like the gravity of being 1-3 against Texas to start off your career. He knows where that could potentially lead to if they don't pick their shit up pretty quickly this season and move forward and win some games. But in this instance, I mean, yeah, I get OU fans like, hey, we won 14 of the 26 or whatever Big 12 championships there have ever been. I don't care. I honestly don't. The Big 12 did not prepare us like in the last 10 years. We left that conference because we were not being prepared to win the big games that we wanted to win. Winning the Big 12 became kind of boring. And this is an elitist OU fan talking about this, of course. So I'm not going to sit here and defend Brent Venables' remarks at the same time because that's in the past. I don't care. Try to, like, you screwed up against Texas. You're being defensive because you're being defensive. I mean, Penn State just fired their head coach after 3 consecutive losses. So it's all in the water right now. So I understand the defensiveness, but please don't punch down. The Big 12 is down. Do not punch down. And while it's technically true, yeah, like Brent, you didn't win those games. Like you helped win a lot of those games, but you were not the guy. I wish that he wouldn't say that. I just wish he wouldn't say stuff like that. I wish, I just wish he had a little bit more charisma and an understanding of reading the room. But that's too armchair psychologist of me to even say, but it's just very annoying. It's like the OSU thing. I've jumped on Keyhole Pod's Twitter account a few times and got onto some OSU fans. And I essentially say the same thing to them. Like, I hope that you guys had the last Bedlam win ever, because I honestly don't care to play it anymore. It doesn't do anything. I know that it's quote unquote good for the state. I don't know enough about that crap, and I don't care. I just care about OU winning games and being prepared to win national championships at some point in their future. And OSU doesn't move the needle because, like I mentioned in some of those tweets, we play Missouri and Arkansas and Mississippi State. We're playing similar programs, so why double down? So just move forward. Let them all have their Baylor or Tech or OSU. Let them have their last game against OUB wins, and just let them cherish that. Cool. Move forward. And I'm an only child, but if my younger brother beat me at basketball, I'd probably just get to a point yeah, good job, you beat me. And then I would move forward with my life and just let him have that and cherish it for the rest of his life, because I just don't care to do it again.
That was answered like an only child.
Hell yeah.
There would be no way in my heart if I have a younger sister, and our interests never really overlapped on that side of it. But yeah, no, there would be no, let's run it back. There'd be a forever let's run it back situation going on. And the funny thing for that is that Oklahoma reportedly is very much in the let's run it back mode, because they understand cooler heads. We need to make sure, let's help everybody out. This is the full education system. Let's make sure there's money involved, yada, yada, yada. And OSU is the one who's like, no, we want to see you later. All right. Because they're just so desperate. If I'm going to read into it that way, they're the desperate ones who are like, yeah, we won on a fluke, but we actually won. So scoreboard, see you later. I'd never, ever want to risk losing again.
I hope they have it, man. It makes it interesting. It's not interesting if OU has the last one. It's just the status quo. That's boring. Yeah. At least there's something to talk about. Who cares? And I think as 5 to 6, 7 years, I think OU's going to be in a different place. I think, read into that what you will, and that game will just be further in the past. But you can still talk about it, I guess, while you're swimming around trying to win the Big 12 or win games in the Big 12. So cool.
Alan, I mean, is this stuff just, I don't know. Is this stuff maybe a little more of a symptomatic thing of why Nagy is more and more on the microphone and at these press conferences and stuff?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I don't think. Look, man, I don't think Brent Venables said anything that it was wrong. Like, sorry. The reality is, like, I mean, well, for the majority of the Big 12's existence and really a lot of the Big Eight, I mean, that was OU's kind of playground, man. Like, I mean, sorry, like the story of the Big 12 in that era in which it was existed was OU's dominance. Like that's it. So I mean, Venables is right there. I don't like the idea of like shitting on the Big 12 though personally. Just I mean, because like why? Like, I mean, OU got regardless of how well we feel like the Big 12 aided OU in the competitive landscape, OU got a lot from the Big 12 that it asked for, right? And so, like, I just and like, I mean, those programs they all matter to their fans too. Like, I mean, so again, I don't know. I mean, I don't think this is just if you're the Big 12 and you want to stop puff out your chest about this, I'd say go ahead. Like you should be proud of, you know, your programs, your fans. You can't just, if you I mean, I don't know. I'm not this doesn't really do much for me. It's just I don't think he said anything that was inaccurate or wrong and so I just don't care.
And I think we'll leave it at that. Big 12 Twitter account. Good job. You got your win. You got your engagements for the year. Congratulations. Oklahoma and Oklahoma fans do seem to be very good at giving out engagements. You got yours. Congratulations.
It's fish in a barrel with OU fans,
yeah.
man. It really is.
Let's move on now. Oklahoma at South Carolina. There's a football game, guys. Do we have thoughts on this, right? My thoughts on it. I'll give my thoughts and I'll give the floor. I think Oklahoma is these are two teams that seem to be functionally reflective of each other, kind of like the Oklahoma Texas game, right? You've got decent defense, you've got an offense that can't quite get out of its way, and you've got a quarterback in which you believe to be talented and can win games for you. That kind of seems Oklahoma's schedule for the rest of the way. There's no real complete teams on that. Alabama's trying to become a very good complete team. Missouri, oddly enough, is annoyingly decent, right? A perfectly good, decent football team because they've been able to average out, the offense and defense on that side of it. I think Oklahoma has a pretty good chance of honestly just winning this game. If you see what South Carolina did with LSU, I believe they gave up 70% of their. It was something like the rush rate without blitzing was like a 70% or something like that. Where it's like they really seem prime for Oklahoma defensive line to really get after Norris Sellers. Now, Texas looked that way against Florida. It looked like Oklahoma was just going to eat Arch Manning alive, and they only managed one sack against him as he did this one magical thing that defensive coordinators hate, which is step up into the pocket. But Sellers isn't necessarily going to navigate a pocket that way. He is a little bit more of he has the ability to run and has shown the ability and want to do that. Maybe Oklahoma's able to kind of get him moving around a little too much and be able to get him into trouble on that side of it. I think Oklahoma, this will be one I flipped the prediction on. I think I'm going to flip this from a loss I had in the preseason to a win. I think there's a different loss down the field now that I thought would be a win on that. But I do think Oklahoma's able to rebound. I don't know if they come out like strong, but I do think this is a chance for Oklahoma to right the ship. And Oklahoma could be sitting at 6-1, and now all of a sudden everyone's like, "I'm still mad, but like, okay, 6-1's cool." I mean, Alan. As you've looked at South Carolina and seeing and maybe there's a different thing going on there too. Shane Beamer may need to get out of town and just keep the clock, like reset the clock somewhere else before he wears out the welcome. If he stacks up a couple extra losses there at South Carolina, because he did the number one thing you cannot do at a school like South Carolina, which is that he had a pretty decent good season early on. Now he's been chasing that ever since then. But Alan, what are your thoughts about Oklahoma at South Carolina Gamecocks?
Yeah, I thought South Carolina coming into the season, people were way too overheated on what they could be, and I feel like that's kind of coming. 'Cause that's what we've seen play out. Um, this game, the real question is, did OU did losing to Texas, did the team check out after that, or are they just spiraling? Because otherwise, this should be an OU win. I mean, it's on the road, South Carolina. It's early, yeah. Uh, I think that the early part of that actually helps. I think you'd rather play South Carolina during the day than in prime time. But I mean, the South Carolina team has some good pieces on it, but as a whole, the team just doesn't really do that much to concern me. And so, like, if OU doesn't come out of this with a win, like, that's 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 kind of like a warning sign for me.
Hear that, South Carolina fans? Unconcerned. Clip it. Brady, South Carolina thoughts. Do you have any thoughts about this game moving forward? I mean, again, this is all still new. Second year in SEC. We got to play this team again. Like, who the hell is this team?
Yeah.
But do you have any overall thoughts about this game moving forward for Oklahoma?
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to come down to which quarterback makes plays. Lenora Sellers and John Mateer are both capable of making plays in spite of what's going on around them, because they're both special, and they're special in different ways. But I think it's going to come down to that, because both teams suck at running the football traditionally. South Carolina fired their offensive line coach because, like I said on No Cap Recap, they have standards, and when they're not met, they will fire their assistant coaches when those standards are not met. But that's a different story for a different day, isn't it? Again, I expect Mateer to be better. I expect the defense to be pissed off and play much better and not surrender, to back-breaking 12, 13, 14, whatever play drives they were for, points in a low-scoring game. This could potentially be another low-scoring game, but it could also potentially be two desperate teams, because I don't think OU is a bad team. I think South Carolina is probably closer to being a bad team. And if OU beats them, I think that then they would officially be categorized as one. So I think symbolically, this would just be a big game for OU in terms of not just getting past the Texas loss and giving Brent some good juju in terms of, like, what does he look like after the Texas game? Going on the road in the SEC and getting a win, that would be one of the better performances after a Texas game that he would probably have. But I think symbolically it would just be, you've already beaten Auburn. If you beat South Carolina, you're at least distancing yourself at arm's length from the bottom half of the conference before the true gauntlet and tests begin. If you're 6-1 out of the South Carolina game, Ole Miss is going to be an incredible challenge. You're going to need a lot of things to go right for OU, and some things to go poorly for Ole Miss at this point. But you've got a great defense, so you've got a chance. You've got John Mateer, and he will, if he's not terrible, then he gives you a good chance as well on top of that. But OU's probably the better team against South Carolina, and that should position them to be 6-1, looking at Ole Miss, Tennessee, Bama, Missouri, LSU to round out their season, and hopefully they can build on that win on the road against South Carolina.
Matt, same question. South Carolina, Oklahoma. What are your thoughts before we go into the official Spirit Shop score predictions?
Yeah, like I said earlier, man, have had a side eye on this game since the schedule got released. Just the placement of it, right? Ole Miss coming up next at home, and then immediately smack dab after the Cotton Bowl. Like, I don't know. It's not a great look. Also, through the 3 years, it's not like he's had great teams. So don't get me wrong there. But Brent's been mediocre to bad the game following Texas. Brady and I talked about in the No Cap 2022. That was a bad football team. Like, don't get me wrong. It was a really bad football team. And like Brady said, OU kind of controlled that game, but still, you win 52-42 to the Kansas Jayhawks. The game after that in 2022, give up 42 points to Kansas. Your offense, that's Dylan Gabriel's first game back. You put up a lot of points. That's great. The next year, 2023, you get a bye week after Texas, and then UCF comes to town, and you have to stop a 2-point conversion at the end to get out with a win on that one. And then obviously last year, again, bad football team, really just terrible offense. The South Carolina game was after the Texas game, and we all know what happened in that one. The game was over in 5 minutes. So, also first time on the road after Texas for Brent. All three of those games were at home. So I don't know. It feels like a prime spot to like bounce back, especially with where South Carolina is. But again, I mean they're going to be desperate for a win too. So this really feels like all right. OU, you kind of decide how the rest of the season goes with this one here in Columbia.
All right, let's get into the Spirit Shop. The Spirit Shop score predictions from through the keyhole. There should be a beautiful, beautiful Spirit Shop ad either playing right now or maybe right after.
The Spirit Shop has been Norman's source for wine, beer, and spirits since 1976. We feature the biggest selection and best prices in town. Thousands of different wines, beers, spirits, and more. Live in Norman? We deliver all over town, every day, usually in under an hour. Let us bring the party to you. Go to our website and order online at www.thespiritshop.org or give us a call at 405-321-3100. That's 405-321-3100. In from out of town for the game? Come see us at the corner of Main and Berry, just 2 miles east of I-35. Take the Main Street exit and browse thousands of fine wines and hard-to-find bourbon in store.
But let's get into it. Alan, what is your score prediction for Oklahoma at South Carolina?
Okay, let's say South Carolina 10, South Carolina 14, Oklahoma 24.
24-14?
Correct.
All right, making sure I'm writing this down for the social post. Brady, score.
Yeah, I like a 10-point margin of victory as well. I'm going to give OU's offense some grace because I can see them starting quickly and maybe keeping South Carolina at arm's length and maybe showcasing an ability that, maybe they can be a little bit more explosive now that they got the bad game out of the way. And yeah, I mean, I would say 31-21 because I think Lenora Sellers is going to make a play or two.
31-21. All right. Matt, score prediction. Oklahoma, South Carolina.
Give me 23-16 OU.
Oh, you're typing it down. And I've got Oklahoma 24. Had this typed down before Alan said anything. Had Oklahoma 24-13 on that side. Squeezing it in just under to make sure I can get the closest thing on there. What's the over-under of the game? Alan, do you know? You're the only degenerate gambler I know. Do you know the over-under?
I think it's 43.5.
43.5. Okay. I would say the under probably, just generally for this game.
The under is undefeated in OU games this year.
Yeah.
They've all gone under.
You know, Brent's just like breaking it in.
Do you guys think that there is a chance for this offense to be explosive this year? Because, I mean, you can look at it very casually and say no because they can't run the football. I mean, OU has had offenses in the last 20 years that couldn't run the football and their offenses were still explosive. And I would say that John Mateer and these receivers are good enough to generally be like a part of an explosive offense with the pass pros the offensive line can have. I mean, they pass protected, I thought, against a very good defensive line fairly well. And it was mainly due to Mateer's rustiness that he was really in pressure because he would often run into pressure himself. He just didn't have a good feel for the pocket. That's going to happen if you don't practice for 3 damn weeks, I guess. But I think that they've shown that there's a lot of meat left on the table. And I think at some point, and South Carolina could be a very good chance for this to start. I think at some point they can find it. And that doesn't mean that Mateer's not going to have another bad game or two down the road, but they have to find it. I think that they're capable. I'm just curious what you guys think.
I think so. I mean, even with a bad running game, Oklahoma has I mean, I'm going to show the note. Go to patreon.com/through-the-keyhole. You can become a member for free. I'm going to I'm going to break down via GIF and then screenshots of three interceptions and the one where he almost got picked off, where the Texas defensive back missed it, Satania missed it, and then the safety also missed it. But there's like open guys to the left of him, which would be like a 50-yard gain. So I mean, it's there. It's just if the guy who's throwing the football decides to look around. I mean, if he decides to look around, Oklahoma can be very explosive. That backs everybody up, and then they can start running the ball a little bit. I think it all just starts there. But Mateer is a 10-yard, 15-yard merchant. That's just who he is. And until they figure out how to get him to uncork it on the edges, it may be tough. But to answer your question, is it possible? 100%. And it's not like all of a sudden Adrian Peterson shows up and then Trent, all the great offensive linemen of Oklahoma's past shows up. They just have to start executing.
Yeah, and there's catch and run opportunities too. I mean, not all of the
not Oklahoma's wide receivers.
What's that? No,
So
but
not
what I'm saying is like not every secondary that OU sees is going to be as good as Texas. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to tackle as well. So I mean, their chances will be there just to snap off bigger gains.
All right, let's quickly shotgun style college football around the world. Oh man, we need to get a cool little thing here. Penn State fires James Franklin. He goes to the playoffs last year. He's winning double-digit games. I think 21, 22, and 23 are all double-digit win seasons, I believe. Goes to the playoff last year. Just 15 days ago, they have the number one atmospheric game of the season so far. Oregon coming down, whiteout, loses on an overtime game, loses 3 games in a row. Boom, he's out. How shocking is this? Or is this just a sign of the times with NIL, with private money coming in, private equity money coming in? We'll talk about that a little bit here in a second. Do teams just say hey, we got money. Let's just make the move. or is this unique to Penn State saying, all right, it's just never going to happen here?
Real quick, Alan, maybe you knew this already, but I found out on Bomani's latest episode where he was talking about Franklin getting fired. Did you know about how weird his buyout contract was?
I knew that it was actually not as punitive towards the school, right, as everybody thought.
So Bomani said that he has to go look for a job.
Yeah.
Which isn't that odd.
Yeah.
In this full scale of college football.
He has to go look for a job, and dang it, I think I just forgot. what the other
Oh, I think TV also worked into that. He would, if he gets a TV job, something gets offset too.
Yeah. I think Penn State doesn't have to pay, they don't have to pay the full amount. They just have to pay in payments or installments.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed, why wasn't this done sooner?
Yeah, right. No, I think, look, man, coaches have shelf lives, and it's hard for people who are fans, I think, of programs that don't have sustained success to understand. But watching the same movie every year over and over, it can just get old. And and this year, Franklin in front of Todd Furman hit me up on Twitter. He's like, I see you saying that, but he's like, but this year, Franklin flipped the channel. It's true. After all those years of being so consistent, now he's not. And this was headed for a divorce no matter what. And I think if you're Penn State, it's kind of one of those, just get it done now and get started finding the next guy.
Yeah, especially if it's stuff if everything we're hearing is true. Yeah, I mean, the world comes very fast. I mean, once you lose this stuff, and I think it's true, the moment Drew Aller went down, and it just became the season's gone, it's lost. Let's just, we're done. I mean, we're done. I mean, it is strange because he didn't make the playoff. Now, he made the playoff in the very first time they expanded it. They still didn't have to beat anybody good to get into it. And I think last year was probably more of an indictment how to get rid of them, because it's what happens if one of these other teams just gets good? Now Indiana, what is Penn State now fourth in line? Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you have Oregon, you have South Carolina, you have USC. I mean, you can quite easily start seeing, oh, if we just never beat the equally talented or better teams, and these teams are continuing to invest and get better, we just may be done here. Now they could have Nebraska themselves. I mean, maybe, right? Of like what's the sin of wanting more? That may have happened there. But yeah, I mean, if you give someone a reason to pull the trigger, and they've been looking for one, they'll take it. I think that's what we learned at the end of the day on that one. Big Ten, private equity funds. Alan, again to you here. How stupid does this sound? Is this stupid? I don't know the full questions. I don't know the full answer to this. To me, it feels dumb to lock yourself into this. We just saw the ACC have to struggle through all of this. I guess now if you're making $1 billion a year, it doesn't really matter if you're locked into it because you're locked into having a lot of money. But we're already seeing USC and Michigan kind of thinking, "Now hold on, now let's take a break here." Do you think this is something that is coming for the sport of college football?
Oh, inevitably, yeah, because I mean these programs all have spending needs, and spending doesn't at a university doesn't generally get cut back. You know what I mean? For sports, at least, they're kind of set, and so this can only go one direction. So, I mean, I think it's coming. It was kind of interesting reading about the Big Ten was, I believe, in talks with it was the California like higher education pension fund, right? Employees pension fund. That's a little bit different than letting like Apollo or Bain Capital or somebody like that in the door. I mean, it kind of makes sense insofar as these conferences actually have very predictable revenue streams, so you can understand why something like a pension fund would want to get involved in something like that. And they wouldn't be as aggressive of a partner. But eventually somebody will have to get in bed with an aggressive partner, and that's when it will get interesting.
True. I mean, it does seem strange now. You're starting to see the system there. Like, why would USC ever agree to the system if they're getting paid the fourth most? Like, if how it's reported is that Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State all get X amount. Right,
From
they
the
get more
private
than
equity
anybody else
fund?
does. Yes,
Okay.
they get more than anybody else does. Then there's a next tier, and USC is part of that next tier. Like if I'm a USC, like why am I getting less money than Penn State?
Yeah.
That seems to be an immediate issue for me, and potentially why they're trying to shop around this Notre Dame game to Netflix to get like another source of revenue, outside of the traditional TV deal. If this private equity thing comes through and you're not even getting the top end amount, it seems strange on that side of it, on the money side. But I know we're not here to talk about the political ramifications of private equity investing itself into college football. Is Indiana the real deal, Brady? Have they proven it to you?
I mean, I think you have to say yes. I mean, I've loved Kurt Cignetti since he started winning games last year. And that was even understanding in the moment that, yeah, they've not really played anybody, but I respect the hell out of somebody that can win games, especially with the talent that Indiana's trotting around. And even with the talent that they're trotting around now. I know they've improved through the portal. I know that Cignetti himself is just a very good developer of talent, whatever level that talent may well be. But I mean, you could argue that Cignetti in just 2 years as head coach at Indiana has a much better win than Brent Venables has in 4 years at OU. And the comparable win would be the Texas game. And then you could argue, well, that's a neutral site game. And Indiana went to Oregon with Indiana talent. And I mean, they won by 10, but rewatching kind of like a sped up version of the game, like they controlled and dominated that game. Just kind of old school, just more physical, making plays when they absolutely needed to. It's a good football team to watch. And frankly, I wish that's how OU played. Not necessarily style wise, but I just wish that they could march into a hostile environment with the full confidence that they could kick ass and then go, put words to action. I mean, Cignetti's incredible. And I think that that's why you're going to see programs like Penn State pull the trigger. I think that's why other programs have already pulled the trigger, because they're seeing a big shining example of like, hey, this is happening at a basketball school in a basketball state. It's like, forget basketball school. It's a basketball region and state, and look what's going on. And you don't want to be lapped by that in conference. And then other teams are just going to look at that and say, why can't we have us some of that across the country? So yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good.
All right. Through the Keel fans, thank you so much for listening to us. Jump on, give us some comments on Spotify. Let us know where we aired. Give us your score predictions. Is Indiana the real deal? Does Indiana need to lose their head coach to the University of Oklahoma? Let us know. Call in now. The new AD is waiting to hear your comments on that. But thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. Again, go check out Through the Keyhole later this week. We'll have a South Carolina opponent preview coming out on Friday, a film review coming out for Wednesday, Thursday, potentially. Well, it has to be Wednesday. Thursday, I have a late night evening video shoot for the Together or More campaign. Again, go check that out over on togetherormore.com for Choctaw Nation. And then just have a good time with us. We appreciate hanging out with you guys. Appreciate you guys busting our balls. It's fun, general fan talk, and we enjoy it. I know Brady does. He's always commenting. And also, big shout out publicly to Brady, who decided to retire my old eyes and hands from the social media accounts and has done a very good job of communicating with Oklahoma football fans and Through the Keel football fans. So if you guys seen a noted improvement on our social media channels, you can say thank you to Brady on that. But for myself, for Alan, for Matt, for Brady, for Choctaw Nation and Kaizen Performance Spirit Shop in Norman, they deliver. Go check them out. For Home Field Apparel, go buy their stuff. Thank you guys so much. And as always, Boomer.
Suit up.
Yeah, we did it.